Shmuley, could you take us through what conversational learning is and how is it shaking training up for everyone?
I'll be more than happy to. I think that to answer your second question first, it's shaking training up much more than we expected. The feedback from the field has been phenomenal. We have tens of thousands of customers now already using this, tens of thousands of users, and the feedback from everyone that tries it, I would never have imagined I'd get that from a course. In a nutshell, what we did was we combined our years of experience in creating e-learning courses for professionals and for adults, our 20 plus years, 2 decades of experience in the compliance space, focusing on the topics that really matter to businesses, and some of the top AI minds that we could find. We have ex-Tesla and ex-Microsoft people on our team working on this, ultimately to create something that delivers on 3 main objectives. Number one, an exponentially more engaging experience than any other methods out there. There's definitely a place for video learning and traditional e-learning, 100% that they deserve their moment in the sun and their place in a learning plan. But conversational learning is significantly more engaging, and I'll show you a demo in just a minute. You don't have to take my word for it. Second of all, it's a course which makes itself relevant for each and every user. It adjusts to each user based on their knowledge, based on their experience of their topic, even based on their job role and company, to really bring relevant content that this user needs to hear in a way that they like to learn. And third of all, and this is ultimately the goal, is that we know, we've seen time and time again, that by encouraging curiosity and critical thinking, we boost retention, we improve comprehension, and we lead to genuine behavioral change. So we actually make companies safer. It's not just about training your employees about, for example, GDPR or sexual harassment or neurodiversity, but actually making them act and behave in a way that keeps your companies safer, more compliant, and more up to date. So as we mentioned just a moment ago, we have, as of this week, as of right now, released Conversational Learning version 2.0. Version 2.0 includes everything that we brought in number 1, but now includes complete open-wide course customizations. I'll show some of this to you in a few minutes, but you can customize your courses to include anything or exclude anything, or act in a certain way, or say a certain thing, or check that a user understands a certain point. You can build fully bespoke courses. So if you have your own internal training that you want to turn into a conversational learning, if there's something incredibly niche that you need to train your team on, we can build that for you, just like Preston said. They now have full narration and dictation capabilities, so the usability and the accessibility is now flawless. We've improved the mobile experience for deploying this to teams that aren't in front of a computer, and we're now 100% carbon neutral. So we are offsetting all our costs for the AI of conversational learning. We understand this is a legitimate concern with modern AI and something which is really important to us as a company. We've also made a plethora of other improvements that all went live as of now, but that's the bulk of it. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to try the one risky thing that you're never meant to try on a webinar, which is a live demo. I'm going to assume you can see my screen. So this is our anti-bribery course. And by the way, all of these courses you can try yourself online as well for free. So everything I'm showing you here, if you want to know what it looks like yourself, feel free to dive in. This is already a course which our traditional courses used far and wide. Anti-bribery is a topic we cover very well. And you'll see that when I start the course, I have auto narration at the top, as we said, if we wanted to make this accessible. But it says to me, it's a pleasure to connect with you. I'm Jamie, your dedicated compliance coach. It says, are we ready to dive into bribery? And the first thing it's going to ask me is to get a temperature check, to understand what I already know about bribery. And the goal here is very simple. If I can show that I know the topic well, I will fly through this course in 20 minutes. If I am new to the subject, this is something I haven't encountered before, it will take its time and it will guide me through the process. And it can maybe take 45 minutes or so, depending on the course we're taking. But just for the sake of it, let's say that this is a topic. I mean, it is a topic I know well. I was been very involved in this course until now. The first thing it asked me is, how would I define bribery? So let's give it a pretty good answer. An illicit and immoral exchange of resources cash favors or anything else for unearned wins and unfair advantages. And it says, great, very comprehensive. What's the most common form of bribery? I don't know, let's say cash for favors. You'll notice now that what it's trying to do is understand how well I really understand this topic. So it says, spot on, cash is indeed one of the most common causes, but it's not the only one. Can you name any other forms? So let's say, for example, I don't know, giving flights or hospitality, hoping to win big contracts. And what I've illustrated to the AI is I know this topic well. So it says, great, we understand this. Do I have any further questions? And I can say, nope, because I'm good to go. And this will now progress me through the course. You'll notice that this will become a check mark and it moves me on to the next part of the course. And for 60, 70% of your users that know the topic already, they will fly through the course with this level of open conversation with the AI, just checking you know what you're talking about. It's a test as you go mentality. Let's change over to a different course. Let's have a look now at a course we have on the Equality Act. And for this course, I'm going to be a little bit more antagonistic, should we say. So it starts off by, again, asking me if I'm ready to go. Yep, let's get started. You'll notice in this course, and you may have noticed in the last one as well, that we have embedded video. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but we'll start by playing.
Did you see Jack today?
He was really getting stuck in with his building blocks.
Yeah, with Tom and no fights. I was amazed.
Yeah, he's really coming along, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Try to get him to do some
So I'm not going to watch the whole video here. Again,
I don't mind the
all
extra
of this
work,
you can see online.
and it depends on how you set it up.
Let's just get to the last.
The way we did
moments.
it in my last nursery
It
was
takes too long, Stephen.
Yeah, Stella's right, Stephen. We've enough to do as it is.
So these videos are all about 45 seconds each, so they don't really take anyone out for too long. But it is worth noting that if you want to watch the full thing, they're all on our video, on our website. And it says to me what behaviors that I noticed on the video that might be problematic under the Act. And let's say I just am not in the mood to engage. So I say, don't know. Unlike the last conversational learning course where I was involved and therefore it let me move very quickly, you'll notice that it doesn't let me off the hook. So it says, that's perfectly all right. Sometimes it takes a moment. Let's take another look at the scenario. What did you observe about how Stephen was treated by his colleagues? So it's trying to guide me towards the right answer. Let's say I really want to be obnoxious and I say, nothing. Didn't notice anything in particular. You'll notice that it's going to guide me some more. So it says, sometimes these things can be subtle. Let's think about the interaction between Stephen and his female colleagues. Did anything strike you as perhaps a bit off or unfair in how they spoke to him or responded to his ideas? So if your learner doesn't know the topic, or this will guide him to get there. If your learner is, like I'm being in this example here, a little bit combative, it's not going to let them off the hook. It's going to train, it's going to drip feed the information until they feel like they're learning for themselves, which is really, really amazing. I don't want to take up too much time, but there's one or two other things I want to show you. The first is that all these courses have been embedded, as I mentioned, with our 2 decades of experience at writing compliance training courses. So let's say I ask a question on the topic, but not anywhere part of this course. So I can say, what does this have to do with the Equality Act? It understands what the Equality Act is. It understands all the laws and regulations in the Act. And it also understands that this is something which is relevant, and therefore it's willing to talk about it with me. So it says, really important question. This scenario actually designed to help us explore the Act, but I can actually ask any question about the Equality Act itself. So I can say, for example, when was it passed? And it says, significant piece of legislation for the UK was passed in 2010. I can say, for example, and these are real questions that we have seen people say in the past, I don't know if it applies to me. And it will actually understand who I am, what my role is in the company, and it will say to me, excellent question to raise. The Equality Act absolutely applies to everyone in the UK, especially in a workplace setting like the nursery we're discussing. I'll give one final example. If I really want to dive into the Act, then I can say, who counts as a protected person in the Act itself? It knows the words of the Act, and it can turn around and say to me, the Equality Act, from discrimination based on what's called protected characteristics. These include age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy, etc. So it's willing and able to have any conversation with me at length, if need be, as long as I'm on topic. But if I go slightly off topic and I say, who won the Oscar for Best Picture in 1999? You'll notice that our guardrails come up and it says, it's a fun question, Shmuley, and a great film year, if I remember correctly. However, let's keep our focus on the Equality Act. Now let's go back to the video. What behaviors did you notice that might be problematic? So the reason why I'm showing this is it's really valuable to understand that the embedded knowledge is deep and your learners can have long conversations. But if they try to play these games and kind of use it like a traditional chatbot, it will keep them on topic, make sure they understand the points. And as you've seen by I haven't progressed this at all, won't let them go past until they've shown they understand it.
That is looking so impressive, and yeah, so excited about version 2. So for all our newcomers, I'm sure you've been totally captivated and are really keen to try out conversational learning for yourselves. But for those of us that have seen it before, Shmuley, what is new in version 2?
Well, if you'll indulge me for 2 or 3 more minutes, let me show you the evolutionary leap that we've had over the last few weeks here. So this is our portal. Many of you have seen this already. This is our clear way to understand and deploy any of your VinciWorks content. This is the same anti-bribery course we took before. I go to customize here and I've just added some simple words. This allows me to tell the course anything. You can make any changes, any conversations, you can give it any instruction. You can even put in your own policy. So over here, under who this course is for, I've said, this course will be taken by employees of Medicorp, a publicly traded British pharmaceutical company based in the UK. And I've given a little bit more information about Medicorp. And under here, where I can put in my company policies, because we're talking about bribery, I can write, our policy is that bribery is always forbidden, whether or not it is legal in the country it happens. It's never okay to take the risk of a company's reputation or any other damages or bribery of any kind. So you can paste your whole policy here, your 20-page document, you can put it here. You can give long instructions. You can ask it to act in a certain way or speak in a certain way or accept certain answers or not accept certain answers. If I now run this course, and it's worth noting that this is a very high level of customization, but we can dive in, as Preston said earlier, and build fully bespoke courses and very complex customizations whenever you need. But let's now show you how this course will act. So this is the same course we looked at before, and you'll notice straight away, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. It starts off by saying, before we dive into any scenario, let's briefly gauge your current understanding of bribery, particularly as it relates to the pharmaceutical sector. So it already knows, as a pharmaceutical employee, this whole course has been tilted towards that route. Let's try something. Let's say to it, before I begin, can I ask a question? You'll notice, by the way, my spelling is terrible. Absolutely not a problem. It works absolutely fine with that. And it's been told again, if I have a question, it's very happy to help. So it says, absolute Shmuley, please fire away what's on your mind. I'm here to help clarify anything you need before we get started with understanding the bribery risks at Medicorp. So it knows my company, it knows who I am. Let's ask, can you give me a practical example of how I might encounter bribery? Again, I apologize for my horrible spelling. I'm very pleased to say we can deal with spelling if it's as bad as mine. And you'll notice straight away, the example that it gives is on point. It says it really helps to think about how this might come in the day-to-day at Medicorp. Imagine you're trying to get a new drug approved in a foreign country. A local agent hints that if you donate a significant sum to a particular foundation, the approval process will be faster. This is already an exponentially more engaging experience for your learners than just a generic course, because it feels like something which genuinely has been built for them. And again, talking about the policies, if you remember the policy I gave it was, it's never okay, even if it's legal. Let me ask the question of, if I know what I'm doing is legal and I am a expert, can I do it in my country if everyone else is? And this is a genuine question, but it's about my company policy. But I've told the AI my company policy, so it can answer by saying, this is a really important distinction to consider, Shmuley, and it highlights some of the key challenges here as a global company like Medicorp. It's easy to think that something is a common practice or even legal, it's acceptable for us. However, our company policy is very clear on this. Bribery is always forbidden, whether or not it's legal in the country it happens. We simply cannot take the risk to Medicorp's reputation or other damages. Furthermore, as a British pharmaceutical company, the UK Bribery Act applies anywhere we operate in the world, regardless of local laws. So it understands who I am, what I'm asking, it knows the law, it knows my company's policy, and it's able to have a genuine, educated conversation on a compliance topic with me in a learning environment. And I think the level of engagement, the amount of times that the people who have run this have had people go back to them and say, how did you build that AI? And they said, well, we didn't build it, we bought it. They're like, no, but it knew us, it knew our challenges. And this is something which is, as Preston said earlier, and I think I agree with him, brings the level of engagement and then afterwards the level of application to a whole new level that's not been seen before. As Lee said earlier, if this is something which is interesting to you and you want to see more, or you want to see your own custom versions, we can build you customizations very quickly. Rob